Make it make sense to me, Todd. There's a war in the Middle East. Oil prices nearly doubled overnight. Gas hit $6 a gallon in California. Goldman Sachs is predicting a 22% market crash. And the S&P 500 just hit an all-time high. Like, straight to the moon. Yep, 7,230 points. A number that has literally never existed before in history. That makes absolutely zero sense. Yeah, maybe. Or you just don't understand how it works. Let me tell you the truth about what the S&P 500 actually is, and why it's doing what it's doing right now. Okay, so what the is the S&P 500? Imagine the American economy is a sports league. The S&P 500 is the scoreboard for the top 500 teams. So the teams are companies? Exactly. Apple, Google, Amazon, Nvidia, ExxonMobil. 500 of the biggest businesses in America, all tracked together in one number.
Wait, they can't all be equal, right? Like Apple doesn't count the same as some random company?
Correct. The bigger the company, the more it moves the scoreboard. Apple alone is about 7% of the entire index.
So when Apple sneezes,
the S&P 500 catches a cold. Exactly. Okay, sounds kind of scary. And who even created this thing? Two guys. Henry Varnum Poor, who in 1860 published the first guide rating American railroads. Then, Standard Statistics merged with Poor's Publishing. And in 1957, Standard & Poor's launched the official S&P 500.
So when people say the market went up today, they basically mean this one number went up?
Almost always, yes.
All right, speed run of the S&P's history. The index starts at around 386 points in 1957. Bounces around for decades, pretty uneventful. So what happened? Then the 90s happened. The internet arrives. Everyone loses their mind. Every company with a .com in its name is suddenly worth billions. People are quitting their jobs to day trade in their underwear.
Living the dream, honestly.
Yep. Not until the year 2000.
The .com crash. The S&P 500 hit 1,552 in March 2000, then fell all the way to 768 by October 2002. Nearly a 50% wipeout.
Wait, half of it just gone?
People's retirement accounts? Shredded. But the market crawled back. By 2007, it was near old highs again. Let me guess. Then 2008 happened. Banks made $1 trillion worth of terrible mortgage loans, packaged them up, sold them as safe investments, and then it all blew up at once. The S&P 500 bottomed at 676 points in March 2009. From the 2007 peak, 57% of the market's value wiped in 17 months. People actually thought capitalism was just over? Some did. And then it came back, bigger than ever. 11 years of the market basically just going up. So what happened during COVID? The entire world shuts down. S&P 500 drops 34% in 33 days. Fastest crash in history. And then it recovered in 5 months and hit all-time highs again by August. 5 months to recover from a global pandemic? Because that's the S&P 500 for you. Every single crash, every war, every recession, every pandemic, the line eventually goes back up. Every single time. Okay, so back to right now. War in the Middle East, oil nearly doubled, Goldman Sachs predicting a crash. Explain to me why the market is celebrating.
2 reasons. And these are the 2 things every beginner needs to understand deeply.
Hit me. Reason 1. The market is a time machine, not a newspaper. The price you see right now is not a reflection of what's happening today. It's the market's best guess at what will happen 6 to 12 months from now. So when the ceasefire happened in April, investors didn't think, great, today is fine. They thought, this war is probably ending, oil will normalize, everything will be okay by Q3. They're betting on the future, not reacting to the present.
That's why it can go up while a war is still technically happening.
Exactly. It's already priced in the ending. Reason 2. AI is basically running its own separate economy inside the S&P 500. Wait, how does AI protect the market from an oil crisis? Technology stocks are nearly half of the S&P 500's entire market cap. And they run on a completely different story. AI infrastructure, cloud computing, semiconductor demand. Oil prices don't really affect any of that. Does a war in Iran stop people from using Google? Not really. Alphabet, Google's parent, contributed over 1.27 percentage points of the S&P 500's return all by itself. More than 20% of the entire index's gain from one single company. That's insane! And on top of that, 84% of S&P 500 companies that reported earnings this quarter beat expectations. Above the 5-year average. Highest rate since 2021. So basically the market is saying, war will end, AI keeps printing money, companies are profitable. We're good. That's exactly what the market is saying.
Okay, but should I actually be worried? Like, honestly?
Honest answer? There are real risks. Oil is sitting around $119 a barrel, nearly 70% above pre-war levels. If that lasts into the second half of the year, it starts eating into corporate profits.
And the market's everything is fine bet starts looking wrong.
Exactly. The S&P 500's valuation is also elevated. Price-to-earnings ratio sitting at 20.9 versus the 10-year average of 18.8. Not insane, but little room for disappointment.
So what does history actually say about this kind of situation?
Researchers studied 40 major geopolitical crises over 85 years. On average, the S&P 500 dropped less than 1% in the first month, then rose 3.4% over the following 6 months. Geopolitical events create fear. Fear creates temporary sell-offs. And long-term? Over the past decade, the S&P 500 delivered a total return of 277%, compounding at 14.2% per year. Wars happened, pandemics happened, crashes happened. The line still went up.
So let's bring it home. The S&P 500 is 500 of America's biggest companies in one number. It has survived a dot-com bubble, a financial crisis, a global pandemic, and now a war. And it's sitting at all-time highs. Because the market bets on the future, not the present. AI is propping up half the index, and companies are making more money than anyone expected. Is it weird? Yes. Is it irrational? Kinda. Is it what the S&P 500 has always done? Absolutely. The number keeps going up. Not in a straight line, not without pain, but up. And if you actually want to invest in this thing, I just opened an account on Exness and it genuinely took me about 4 minutes. Link is in the description. They're beginner-friendly and available worldwide. If you want to know what to actually do once your account is open, what to look for, when to buy, when not to panic, drop a comment. That's the next video. Like this video if it actually made sense to you. It took us a while to make it make sense too.